I have spent many years studying many different fields in preparation for something some might consider to be the most insane desire, the most insane goal ever. And some might consider it to be blasphemy, but in a way it's all according to prophecy. It's all according to plan, the birthing of the woman's child. For those who know, you know, and for those who don't, figure it out yourselves. But you see, I spent a very long time studying, trying to figure out, through, in a way, you could say, quote, quote, eugenics, how to create a better human in a sort of way, in a sort of twisted way, a better human, a stronger human, a faster human, a smarter human. And from my observations, from my studies, I think that it can be achieved, in fact, somewhat easily. And when you look at those with high intelligence, you can see that things to do with brain matter, the types of brain matter, and the way it's shaped, it's formed, has a massive impact on intelligence. You can see how certain genetic sequences, very small, very slight little genetic sequences can have a massive impact on someone's height and someone's weight, someone's strength, muscle mass and body fat mass and bone mass, and with very complex 3D printing technology, microscopic, nanoscopic 3D printing technology, I believe an embryo could be formed that would grow a human that is far superior to any other in many different ways. But my goal in mind would not be to create a holy person, a truly righteous person. My goal in mind would be to create a destroyer, a ruiner of humanity, someone that could bring extinction to the human race. And these types of embryo manipulations slash eugenics are extremely illegal. But I believe that in a certain place in the world, these things could be conducted. These things could be accomplished, and my dream of creating a in a way superior person could be accomplished. And my goal in mind, to get into specifics, is to create, in particular, and I'll be very specific here, a 6'5" person that is naturally around, that settles around 300 to 350 pounds, that has an endomorphic build, either an ectomorphic or endomorphic build, that has very I would say European or Asian features, for certain reasons to do with the climate and different genetic adaptabilities, as well as perhaps African, because of certain viral adaptabilities. So a combination of the different races. And I would want this person to have a high bone density, almost metallic bone density. Tweaking genetics like that would be deadly or nearly impossible anyway. But I think it could be accomplished somehow, maybe with super intelligent quantum AI, and so that's kind of the reason why I wouldn't go through with the development of such an embryo yet, is because it would require super intelligent quantum supremacy computers, perhaps even a singularity AI, in order to create a human like this. And this human, also, could have the psychology, what's the word I'm looking for? Different psychological abilities such as psychopathy and super empathy. I think the two combined might make a very interesting person. And it is possible, it's like people born with, I don't know, schizophrenia and autism and bipolar disorder, having all three at the same time is rare and it's not likely. And it might be hard for people to imagine someone with such a combination. But I believe that it is completely possible to create a super empath psychopath. And my goal in creating such a person would be so that they would have a deeper understanding of humanity, they would have more empathy, but at the same time, they would also be willing to do what's necessary for themselves. Now the two would clash. Those two different disorders slash abilities would clash. It would make it difficult for the person, but with a higher intelligence, it would make them less likely of being violent. They would have to be raised in a particular environment for that to be achieved. But my goal would be for them to be made into a leader. They would, through their psychopathy, be capable of becoming a leader, and through their super empathy, they would actually have empathy, but they would have the ability to shut it off. They would have an ability to ignore it much more easily than others, and they would be very difficult to read in some ways and in certain times and places. And this kind of person would make, I think, a near perfect leader for humanity. And with their higher intelligence, and better looks, in particular, I was thinking of developing such a person with green eyes or blue eyes, probably green eyes because they're much more rare. Green eyes and orange hair. Make the person, super rare among the population. Make them stand out, but make them highly attractive with, wolf Asian eyes and chiseled facial structure. Um, and I think it would be wise to tweak the person's genetics to make them produce uh, just about more estrogen than testosterone. Um, Not quite, but make it to where their body produces and needs a lot less testosterone, probably half as much or a quarter as much as the average adult male. And this is because too much testosterone means too much aggression. It means now the complicated thing is in psychology and chemistry. Technically, more testosterone doesn't mean more violence, but it does mean more aggression or more masculine, hypersexual behavior and all that. And so creating a male with a lot less testosterone, I think, would be a good thing. And the reason why I want to make a male is because if a female were created instead using these advanced eugenics, the female would be, I don't know, not really suited for the role of world leadership. A female, just won't achieve this because the world is ruled by men. Women have always been given the illusion that they're gaining power and influence in the world, but men will always be the wealthiest and always will be in control because that's how the world is set up. It doesn't matter what I think or feel or what you think or feel. That's just how it is. And so, those in power would not allow a female to take control. But if it were a male, it would be allowed and in particular appreciated and pushed. They would try to push such a person to becoming a leader. And this eugenically modified person, genetically modified person, would be developed also with other features. Perhaps one so there's something to do with ribs that's important. I forget what it is. I think developing the person with an extra rib. There's something there. I forget what that was about. I forget. But developing the person without certain organs and developing them with perhaps an extra organ here and there, to help them, develop much stronger bones. That was one thing that I found important. Developing someone with very high density bones. This could lead to brittleness, yes, but I think that developing a person, with more kidneys and livers that they could produce, that they could take on more minerals, and how you place certain things in the body like that. I don't know. It might have to be technologically modified, like something out of cyberpunk. But I think also developing a human with more neurons, it would be kind of hard to do that considering how like tightly compact neurons are in the brain anyway. But I think that perhaps there's some sort of way to tweak it, genetically modify someone to where they could develop maybe 300 billion neurons instead of 100 billion. And then also, of course, genetically or technologically modify the person with something like Cyberlink. Is, if I'm correct, it's Cyberlink, I think. Um, and that way they would have access to basically unlimited knowledge, and they would have Singularity AI intelligence on their side as well. And on top of that, I've been looking into the idea of genetically developing someone with what's the word I'm looking for? Enhanced vision and hearing. Developing someone with more of those hairs, more complex eardrums, to allow for better hearing, more taste buds, also multiple eyeballs, more eyeballs than just two, or perhaps one eyeball that can pick up visible light, and then the person would also have an eyeball that could pick up something like ultraviolet light or infrared light. But X-rays would be cool, but I don't think that would be too likely. I don't think it would be really possible to do that without Singularity AI. It would take, something really intelligent to develop something like that. So we got to wait until Singularity or super intelligent supremacy or quantum AI comes out before developing something on that level, or even like ultra hardened metal calcium bones, or metal calcium teeth, and in fact, teeth are actually harder; they're more dense than bone. So developing bone-like teeth, right around the hardness or slightly more hardness than teeth might be a possibility. Also, genetically modifying the person with much more structured fiber hair, much more dense fiber hair, is kind of a neat little idea to include. And then also on top of that, what else? What else was there? What else was there? Because I put a lot of thought into this. What else was there? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And also, I think it's, what is it? Either it's more or less fast twitch muscles. I think it's slow twitch muscles that make someone stronger. Basically, it's what allows like gorillas to use like almost all their muscle strength. It's almost like a human if they had, if I'm correct, all their slow twitch muscles enabled, and they had like either no fast twitch or none of their fast twitch muscles were utilized. I think that if I'm correct, that's what would make someone strong, like as if they were having an adrenaline rush. And also, I think it would be cool to develop a human with a more muscular heart, with a more genetically modified heart. They could withstand the pressures of adrenaline, and developing a human that produces adrenaline almost regularly to give them extremely superhuman strength. Because I know a human can at almost maximum lift around 3 to 5 thousand pounds, at their strongest. And if somebody's 6'5" and they're around 450 pounds of solid muscle, and only slow twitch fiber muscle, and they have ultra dense bones, they could probably lift around 4 or 5 thousand pounds with the adrenaline and all the muscle density and the type of muscle utilization. So I think that's an interesting idea. Um, Also, I think it would be cool to develop the person with a low pitch voice, because it's more of a, what's the word, controlling, more so like a more commanding, leadership type voice. So genetically modifying the person to have a low pitch voice, I think might actually go a long way. Because looks are important. A lot of people that are wealthy or in higher positions, in different businesses, are more attractive or tall or have a certain type of voice or accent. Like everything matters. Everything is important. And we see this with like criminals, people that do really evil things, become glorified because of their looks. So looks can go a long way. Abilities and looks can go a very long way. From what I've seen studying psychology, it doesn't matter if somebody is a mass murderer. They could be 6'5", blue eyes, blonde hair, very muscular, and wealthy, and people will idolize the person. They'll worship the person. And so of course, with that being said, looks and abilities do go into account. They're very important here. And so this is part one. I'll probably make a part two going into genetic sequences and molecular compositions and compound structures. I want to go like into I want to go really in depth on this in another video, a very in depth eugenics video, which I don't know if it's legal to I think it's legal to talk and to speculate about eugenics and developing a bioengineered human. I don't know if it's legal, to talk about. I'm pretty sure it is. I think it's fine. So yeah, I'll probably go make a part two and go into detail about advanced eugenics ideas of mine. Um, this was just sort of like an introduction to it. So yeah, anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.